This is the Palin Update on Sarah Net Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla.
We are going to do all that we can to get that vote out. What this great country needs is a little bit of good old Reaganism.
As we head toward Election Day, Governor Palin helps get the vote out for conservatives. Today, we'll take a look at the governor's speech in the Sunshine State, plus examine a key endorsement of a candidate and a measure ahead of Tuesday's vote. Also, we'll hear from critically acclaimed author Brian J. Gail, a champion of life. We'll talk about his new book and the big pro-life event he'll be speaking at in Pennsylvania. Gail has had quite a career, a star athlete in college. He co-founded 3 Catholic classical academies and has been lauded for his work in business and nonprofits. His third book, Childless, follows 2 hugely successful novels that complete this trilogy, and he is with us today courtesy of CMG Booking, the Catholic Speakers Bureau. You can check them out at www.cmgbooking.com. Brian J. Gail joining us here on the Palin Update. Mr. Gail, thank you so much for your time.
Happy to be here with you, Kevin.
Now, you've compiled quite a resume with the pen here. Your novel, Fatherless, has enjoyed great success, and then Motherless did even better in some circles, and now the final volume, Childless. Can you give us an idea what readers can expect here, without giving too much away, of course?
Well, I think they can anticipate an autobiography next year entitled Clueless.
Come on. You can't be harsh on yourself like that. You know this is good stuff.
Well, I'm only saying that because my wife is here beside me.
Oh, okay. Okay. Save her from getting the barbs at you. Get them out of the way.
Exactly right.
Tell me a little bit about the third book.
Third book is set in the 2020s. It is Twilight in America. The first book was Morning in America in the 1980s. The second book, Motherless, was set in the first decade of the 21st century, all but the current period. This third volume is set out, as we say, in the 2020s and a little bit beyond, and it is now Twilight in America, and all the bad choices that have hollowed out the great moral impulse that sustained America's cultural patrimony over 13 generations have now been eviscerated, as we say. And as a consequence, the destruction and demise of our beloved country is unfortunately turbocharged.
And I know people, who haven't picked up the first 2 yet, maybe they'll get their hands on all 3 here, but definitely sounds like something that folks will want to check out here and get a hold of your books. Now, you've been a coveted speaker when it comes to your books, of course, but also just to the subject of faith and family. And I know you believe those components are really the building blocks to everyday life, and I know Governor Palin believes that too. I think if you throw freedom into that equation, you can say that's the key to our country too. Would you agree with that? Faith, family, and freedom?
I would. Freedom for, not freedom from. A key distinction. Freedom for service to others for the great collective good, not freedom from responsibility or accountability, Kevin.
So that's a very interesting take on it. That's a great way to look at it, and people can throw words around, but that is an important distinction. Now, your respect for life and the defense of life has been remarkable. How do you think we're faring right now on the pro-life front? I've been hearing some really positive stories of late. Some nurses in New Jersey recently refusing to participate in abortions, and many other tales of hope across this nation. Young people supporting pro-life causes. Do you see a positive trend now when it comes to life?
I do. I see tremendous hope, tremendous reason for hope, but at the same time, we clearly see on the horizon very dark and ominous clouds, because even as we battle the issues that surfaced first in the 60s and came to fruition in the 80s, we now are on the cusp of something called the new the capstone revolution, the life sciences revolution, which will attempt to nullify Genesis, Kevin. That's not man creating, God creating man in his image and likeness, but rather man creating man in his image and likeness. So here we are fighting this life battle, so to speak, at its inception point, but we've already raced way beyond that in terms of technology. We've got about 4 million children that have been actually created in vitro fertilization in These are small human embryos with all the genetic makeup and DNA and cellular structure that any of us have. Almost all of them have been killed, slaughtered in some way or another, or cut up as piece parts for biotechnology purposes, commercial purposes. And that is really the mid-step. Where this is ultimately going, of course, is this transhumanist movement, which will ultimately wire man to machine. This is what they call nanotechnology. In its principle, Harold Ray Kurzweil has written the trilogy as well, and his final installment, The Singularity is Near, was a New York Times bestseller published in 2006, and he predicts that all this will hit sometime in the 2030s.
Now, I know you're gearing up for a big event, November 20th, where you'll be the keynote speaker. Can you tell us a little bit about the Stand Up for Life dinner?
Well, it's the big event in Philadelphia every year, Kevin. It is about, I think this group, the Southeastern Pennsylvania Union, has been in the wilderness 40 years, literally this year, 2011. 40 years they've been a voice crying in the wilderness with many, many defeats and setbacks, and yet always some victories, and more importantly, steadfast, heroic virtue and courage and steadfastness in the face of overwhelming evil. And they get about 1,500 people every year at this event. It's held at the Sheraton downtown, and they've had many, many notable speakers there this year. I should say in the past. This year, obviously, will be the exception.
I see what you're doing. I have to work this out. I like this technique. You go ahead, you go after yourself, and then your wife's going to go easier on you later.
Exactly. I'm hoping that. It never works out quite that way.
Okay, still okay. Hey, listen, you're agreeing with her though when you do this. You're setting yourself up. You mentioned though about their in the wilderness. I like the way you put that. But I get their newsletter, and I'll tell you what. One thing they do, which is really stood out to me, is they will point things out to you that you may not realize. For instance, pharmacies or stores that support anti-life causes or things that someone who is pro-life certainly would not want to be around or support. And I think that that's key too. People really get educated. A lot of causes that they think are very good or things that they should contribute money or time to. You find out the real deal when they do some digging here.
Well, Kevin, what you're citing is actually the truth of it. I mean, the battle has shifted. It's no longer just a matter of life in the womb. I mean, life is now being created in the petri dish, as you know. It will go on from there, where we'll have this combination of what they call biological and artificial intelligence. This is the transcendent issue of the day, and we are on the cusp of it. So you have many of these hospitals, and in fact, the whole Obamacare conscience clause, many believe, is fraudulent, meaning that Catholic doctors and nurses and administrators will be forced to either perform abortions or to dispense abortifacient contraceptives. And if this is the case, a line has now been drawn in the sand, and it's up to the Catholic community, laity and the bishops, to take up the cause of life and conscience, the preeminence of conscience, and really to fight for the freedom that is at the foundation of this country.
There's a great quote from Governor Palin that I really like. She said, "I'm pro-life. I'll do all I can to see every baby is created with a future and potential. The legislature should do all it can to protect human life." Isn't that an important aspect of being pro-life? She says a future and potential. So in essence, folks hear pro-life, it doesn't just mean opposing abortion, but also celebrating and supporting that life as a child grows and into adulthood. I know you've shown your belief there in all your work you've done for the underprivileged in Philadelphia. Can you speak about some of that?
Kevin, I can. I'm going to make you, perhaps, and some of your listeners uncomfortable. All of this began with the pill. The abortifacient nature of contraception is not in question. Scientifically, the World Health Organization has categorized contraceptives as Group 1 carcinogens. The EPA says it is the leading cause of the feminization of our fishing stock in our streams and rivers, and the leading cause of pollutants in our rivers and streams. There is no question but that there's a link between contraception and cancer, cervical cancer and breast cancer. The Mayo Clinic in 2008 published a meta-analysis that drew the link between breast cancer and abortifacient contraceptives. More importantly, the International Pharmacists for Life, in a study in 2003, I think it was, revealed that for every surgical abortion, there are 5 to 7, if you can believe it, chemical or surgical septic abortions. This is the evisceration of the child, the embryo, before it's able to attach itself in its mother's uterine wall, because once it makes its way down the fallopian tube and arrives at the point of its inception, the point of its attachment, it finds out that the chemicals in the compound have stripped the wall. And as a consequence, the child is flushed away without the mother even knowing it. So the great beginning of this terrible onslaught of death has been this pill that was thought to be mankind's great technological breakthrough. Now man and woman can control their own fertility. But all it did was hollow us out as a people, make abortion inevitable, and place our very freedoms at risk.
Listen, you got to make people uncomfortable sometime. I mean, it's it's the truth, and that's the only way you're going to get more folks on board here in the movement, my friend.
Well, thank you for that, Kevin, and thank you for your openness. It's not universally true that just because someone is pro-life and against abortion, that they embrace the fact that hormonal contraceptives, abortifacient contraceptives, are in fact abortifacients, that they actually cause abortions too. In fact, in many, many more cases.
Well, Brian, Gail, we really appreciate you coming on here with us today, and your message is powerful and so important, and we wish you all the best with your latest book, Childless. I hope folks can pick it up, and if they haven't read the first two, do that as well. And with your Stand Up for Life dinner later this month, best of luck with that.
Kevin, thank you. It's a wonderful opportunity to get to know you a little bit. I ask God's great blessing on your work.
Brian J. Gail here on the Palin Update. And again, Mr. Gail appears courtesy of CMG Booking, the Catholic Speakers Bureau. Learn more at www.cmgbooking.com. A busy week for Governor Palin. She spoke to Florida Republicans, and she talked a little bit about Dutch.
There have been some reports lately about, geez, what is all this Reagan stuff?
Palin says that's an easy one to answer.
Well, you're not going to hear us invoke Alinsky or Ayers or Mao or Wright. We're kind of a Reagan sort of crowd around here.
Now, we figure Governor Palin will play a major role in the 2012 elections for the White House and Congress, but she's already making her presence felt in the 2011 election cycle. The governor this past week endorsed Todd People for Attorney General.
We can count on him to stand up and defend our Constitution, to fight against Obamacare, and stop Obama's EPA from destroying Kentucky coal jobs.
Learn more about Todd at toddpeople.com. That's TODDPPOOL.com. Governor Palin also offered her support for Ohio's Issue 2, encouraging Ohioans to vote yes, saying it will help restore fairness to Ohio taxpayers and help balance the budget. You can learn more at betterohio.org. We'll see how things pan out Tuesday. The governor, of course, has had huge success with endorsements in the past. Remember, folks, exercise your duty to vote on Tuesday. Well, that'll just about do it for this edition of the Palin Update on SaraNet Radio. Be sure to visit saranet.net for continuing coverage of Governor Palin, our radio show, plus plenty of articles from yours truly and our SaraNet contributors. Also, follow us on Twitter at SaraNet Radio and like us on Facebook. I want to thank everyone here at SaraNet Radio. Thanks to Brian J. Gail. And thank you for listening today. Please be sure to join us next time for another edition of the Palin Update. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant day.